Hey, it's me. It's the world's smartest painter, and I'm here in the Hobo Dojo. This is where I live in Thousand Oaks, California, in my old beater motor home. And I want to talk to you guys today about, this is Thursday, this is Tuesday, what we like to call TRUEsday here. And so I'm using these days to be not political, but, honest about something that I think impacts us, or maybe just, give an example of myself sometimes. But usually I want to talk about things on TRUEsday that are not necessarily the easiest things to talk about. They're not the same thing as scolding somebody else for doing something wrong. This is more about revealing something about myself, my own behaviors, and how this relates to society at large. And what I want to talk about today is pornography. And not because I am a huge consumer of pornography, but because pornography is huge, and it's a negative problem in our society. Well, I suppose that's redundant. It's negative and a problem in our society, and I think it's being given a pass. Nobody's talking about it anymore. It has gotten hugely more prevalent than ever before, and is being talked about as if it's nothing. And now the adult awards, they have them in Vegas and they televise them on cable, and it's, a porn star is just the same as anybody else now. Let's talk about it a little bit. Okay, first off, let's talk about this. Let me just be very blunt about this. If you are a woman listening to this, you don't understand. You do not understand how powerful visual imagery is to a man. How much the visual cortex is our way into sexual desire. We're wired that way by nature. We're wired to scan the periphery for any healthy young, female Homo sapien with whom we might have an encounter. We are built to do that. We could, if all things being equal, we could father hundreds of children every year. Women can only do one, and you're wired differently. And women say, when I talk to them about this, we like the way guys look. We're turned on by the way guys look. Yeah, not in the same way. Not in the same way. It's the difference between a person who, I like a good meal, and a person who is obsessed over food and goes to every new restaurant and can never get enough and is an expert, a gourmand. It's the same way as a guy that have a glass of wine and say, that was nice, or a guy who lives for wine. This is the difference in focus, and how much you're focused on the visuals as opposed to how much we're focused on the visuals. We can't get enough of the way women look. We drive down the street and, we can't help it. We're not being creeps. We're not pervs. We're men. And the whole pornography industry is there for one reason. It's to make money off of that impulse in us. And the fact that we need to release semen pretty frequently to try to be delicate about this, it's for that reason. It is for men to get stimulated, aroused, and then reach a release. That's what pornography is. We're not going on pornography to appreciate women's bodies in a sort of aesthetic sense, as you stand there with your taking notes while you're looking at the Michelangelo's David or something. It's not that. It is sex. All right. But it used to be that we had Playboy magazines for 2 decades. That was it. That was it. And the other pornography we had was, you'd go downtown to someplace like the Pussycat Theater in Hollywood, and you'd sit in a darkened room with a bunch of creepy guys in raincoats, curled up in the corner of the room. Next to a drain was a hose. And that's how you cleaned a place like that out. Every now and then you closed it down for a day and hosed the whole fucker out. this was what it, and you watch these things on reels, on tacky reels, and the people in them were people that obviously had no other choices in life. The women had bruises on them, and you know, men were pot-bellied and unshaven, and it was not the kind of you know, thing that anyone was proud of watching. Of course, it got a little bit better once Playboy, you know, made it okay for men to view women naked. You know, oh, there she is in her cowboy boots out in a field, you know, with a horse, but naked otherwise, you know, and all of these tableaus that they put together. And so, but this was pornography then. This was still masturbation material then. And then it ramped up. Slowly it ramped up and slowly ramped up, because that's the way anything is. If once you make it okay, once you say, okay, it's acceptable on this level, and now I don't have to feel bad about getting a peek at a woman's naked breasts, now I want to see what her pussy looks like. And now I want to see what that looks like with no hair. And now I want to see it spread open. You know, sorry to be indelicate. This is what's going on. And then you get, you know, the Penthouse about a decade ago started showing insertions. You know, and everyone went, really? You know, in a men's magazine? You know, maybe that was 15 years ago. And when I got married 20 years ago, I had a stack of Playboy magazines, half Playboy magazines and half Penthouse magazines, right? That I had bought on rare occasion, and would use from time to time. You know, maybe I had 10 or 12 of these magazines, some of them dating back decades. You know, and because, you know, only when I really had a moment to go there did I really think about that. And so, and they would be fine. You know, that was enough. I would look at those same pictures over and over again when I wanted to. When I got married, I threw those out. And here's why. I did not want to be comparing my wife to pictures in magazines of women who were sort of perfect. And these, you know, at this point, you know, these were not skanks. These, you know, maybe they were, but they didn't look like it. And I wanted to focus on my wife. I wanted to sexualize my wife, and only my wife, because I knew that was going to be difficult. So I got rid of all the visual aids otherwise. And that was a good thing to have done. And, you know, that marriage ran its course, and I became single again. And now I live alone. And on that computer, which is never far, is an endless stream of pornography. Free. Now, a few years ago, you had to buy it. And they give you a couple of pictures. You could see a few pictures. But then you'd have to buy it. So I'd look at the few pictures, but I wouldn't buy anything. I don't want it that bad. I mean, I don't want to be, you know, spend hours a day looking at porn. But sometimes, alone here at the Hobo Dojo, it's dark, it's late, and, you know, you want to, you know, have a little fun. You got nobody to do that with you. That's what pornography is. It's a visual aid. But it has grown so incredibly. You know, you really have to know this. You know, you really, if you're not tuned into this and nobody's talked to you about it, it has grown exponentially. You can go on to places like YouPorn, and I think a thing called Pornhub, and I believe there's a few others. And it's free. It's free, and you can literally start watching pornography. I could start watching pornography now, and I could never exhaust the supply of free pornography ever, because more is being uploaded faster than I can go through what's already there. It's like you could never look at every YouTube video. You could, conceivably, if they stopped uploading it, take you, you know, several hundred years, but you absolutely could not do it now because they upload more. And so more of this is being uploaded all the time. And I want to tell you, it's not all just people making love. You know, some of it's pretty nasty stuff. There's gangbangs. There's, you know, I mean, it seems like anal sex is now de rigueur. It's now normal. That can't be good for you. That's gotta be damaging. I mean, I've, I've never been around a woman who thought that was a good idea. But you can. There's hundreds, there's thousands of young, 19-year-old, beautiful women who are just being used in every conceivable manner. And these are not, the poor girls that have nothing else to offer the world. These are good-looking, these are beautiful women. And and every one of them is somebody's daughter. Every one of them is potentially somebody's wife someday. And this stuff is out there and will never go away. And now, if it sounds like I'm prudish about sex, I'm not particularly prudish about sex. I don't think sex is a horrible thing. But sex is, it is the A-bomb. It's the atom bomb. It's the strongest thing. When I date somebody new, I tend to put off having sex for a little while. And not because I don't want to do it or I'm afraid to do it. I want to do it like first night. But it changes everything. Women bond inappropriately through sex, and appropriately, but they can bond inappropriate if what's going on there is inappropriate. They're with a guy that's not going to be good for them. They're going to bond to him anyway. This is science. It has nothing to do with something we've societized in. And so keep in mind, if you're that you're watching this, if you're watching this video, much easier than you watching this video, your sons, your neighbors, everyone you know has access to this at all ages. A 10-year-old boy can go on and he can watch a gangbang. And if he likes that, he can watch another one. He can immerse himself in the gangbang society. He can watch things called bukkake videos. Well, I'll let you find out for yourself what that means. But these are not the sorts of images that we want young men to be taking into their minds and encompassing this into what their idea about women is. So it's not prudish to want people to have their sexuality defined by, in its relationship to affection and respect. I mean, yeah, I want to have a great, wild, enjoyable sex life, but I want to do it with people that I respect, who I like, who I can wake up the next morning with and be happy that I'm there. Not, oh my God, I'm going to have to saw my arm off and try to make good my escape. I don't drink anymore. I don't find myself in those positions much anymore. I have my judgment intact. And therefore, I usually say, you know what, let's find out if we really like each other before we jump into bed, because then we're going to have this sexual thing added to it. And it's going to change everything. It's going to change the power balance. If I feel like we have sex and then you really get bonded to me because of that, then I'm going to have a little advantage over you. The power balance will shift a little bit. Sex should not be taken lightly. And this does not mean it should be thought of as a sin. And so if you're rejecting religion, and therefore you say, I'm going to reject everything they say about sex because they're squares. They're just saying it because they don't want us to have sex because they're trying to oppress us. Bullshit. Where are the feminists about this? Well, they're the same place where they are, they're in the same place as they are in their commentary about the Muslim world. Quiet. Silent. That's where they are. They don't, because the feminists, it's all about eliminating men from the picture. The radical feminists. It's all about eliminating men from the picture at this point. The battle has been won. Women have equal rights. They're outperforming men in colleges. They're entering into the professions at a greater rate than men. They're getting paid great. The battle is won. And so the only people who are still, sort of manning the barricades for the feminist movement are the women who really have a hard-on for men. They don't like men. And so they may know this is happening, or they may not know this is happening, that men are finding it harder and harder and harder to properly sexualize someone who's going to be their mate, and have that person be more sexualized than anything else that's in their mind. They shouldn't be looking at porno. They shouldn't be looking at magazines. They should look at other women only as they pass by and they go out of their heads. They need to stay focused on their women. And feminists don't think men and women ought to really have anything other than a relationship where men work for women. So they're in the zone about this whole shit. So thing I just want to tell you, I'm running long here, so I just want to say, if you are under the impression that your sons are not, do not have access to pornography because they don't have a credit card, or they can't buy a Penthouse magazine in the liquor store, wrong. There, check out YouPorn, check out the free porn hubs. It's endless, it's there, and this is a serious problem that's going to come back to bite our asses in our society. We're going to have an awful lot of repercussions over this. We're going to have a generation of women who are weirded out about sex, and a generation of men who are going to find it harder and harder to properly balance out their desire for women with their desire for a woman. So that's all I got to say today. If you like what I'm doing here, subscribe. Normally I'm at work. I happen to be at home today, but subscribe to my channel, World's Smartest Painter.